Susan Page joins me now. She's USA Today's Washington bureau chief. So, Susan, the State Department says these sanctions could cost North Korea up to $1 billion in exports annually. Does the Trump administration appear to have a strategy in terms of dealing with the threat?
You know, and to put that $1 billion in lost exports in context, they only have about $3 billion in exports at the moment. So it's a big bite out of the North Korean economy. But the problem is economic sanctions have not worked in the past in affecting the nuclear program and the missile testing that's been the reason for this new latest UN action. And the White House has the problem that previous administrations have had, in that it is very hard to figure out what to do about North Korea, because the possibility of a military action would be so catastrophic for our allies and our own troops in South Korea.
Well, China and Russia also voted for the sanctions, drawing the president's praise, even though he has been critical of China lately. What does this mean for our relationship with that country, with China?
You know, I think it was a big step for the president to praise China in particular. They worked hard. The United States worked hard to get China on board with this resolution. In fact, the White House had scheduled an announcement on Friday of a new trade action against China, of a trade investigation against China for alleged trade violations. They called that off because of the final stages of working out this resolution. So the question is, does this Chinese cooperation with North Korea mean that the president will back off on some of his threats of going after China on trade?
Susan, the president also praised Attorney General Jeff Sessions for his crackdown on leaks. Many of the leaks we've seen have had to do with the Russia investigation. Do we have a sense of why the president continues to focus on this particular issue?
Well, the president has been very alarmed by leaks from his administration from the beginning. And in fact, the torrent of leaks we've seen on the Russia investigation and on other things, like those transcripts we saw this past week of his private conversations with the leaders of Australia and let's see,
and Mexico.
Mexico,
yes.
Yeah, thank you. Brain freeze there for a moment. They have been quite extraordinary, and the president has been dismayed, in part because it's actually prompted changes in his administration. It's because of the leaks that we now have a special counsel, certainly led us toward the special counsel. It's because of these leaks that Michael Flynn is no longer the National Security Council advisor for him. So they've had a big effect on him, and he has been really pushing the Attorney General to crack down on leaks in a way that we've seen no administration do in the past.
So, Susan, do you think this crackdown goes some way towards saving Jeff Sessions' job?
It seems to have calmed the waters. You know, Jeff Sessions was definitely in the doghouse there for a while in terms of getting critical presidential tweets, and now he gets this kind of more favorable one about leaks investigations. Although I think one other thing that has affected Jeff Sessions' standing is that Republican senators have made it clear they won't go along with dumping Jeff Sessions, with Chuck Grassley, the conservative Republican chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, saying he wouldn't hold hearings on a replacement for Jeff Sessions. So this may also be an acknowledgement of some political reality on the part of the White House.
Well, Special Counsel Robert Mueller is using a grand jury for his probe of possible collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign. He's also reportedly investigating possible financial crimes. How significant are these developments in the investigation? And is there any indication that the White House is concerned?
Yes, I think the White House continues to be very concerned about this investigation. I think these are signs, external signs, that this investigation is proceeding, that it's a serious investigation. It's going to be far-reaching. We believe that Mr. Mueller is using multiple grand juries on different threads of this investigation. So I think if you look at there are stories every day about tweets and actions and criticisms and all that. But if you look at the most serious thing that threatens this administration, that casts a cloud over this administration, I think it would be the Russia investigations.
Before we let you go, Susan, Vice President Mike Pence is reacting to an article from the New York Times which suggests some Republicans, including himself, are prepared to run if President Trump decides not to run in 2020. Now, the vice president called the article, quote, disgraceful and offensive. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, disgraceful and offensive, but the fact is we've seen the vice president really build his political credentials in a very serious way. He's meeting with big donors. He's meeting with the Koch Brothers organization. He has been doing a lot of cultivation of folks on Capitol Hill and out in the States. Now, much of that is on behalf of the administration. That is helpful to President Trump. It's also helpful to Vice President Pence if at some point in the future he wants to run for president himself.
All right, Susan Page in Washington for us. Susan, thanks so much.
Thank you, Elaine.